tell you, I'm so sick of the lies told almost daily by politicians, journalists about global warming. I'm sick of the cowardice of the Liberal politicians who don't dare argue back with the facts. I'm frightened that the truth no longer matters to so many people now, journalists included. This is freaky. But I tell you what, I'm going to keep correcting them right up to this conference. And there's one other thing I should do. I should warn you what will happen if we go as mad about global warming as Europe has. I mean, just have a look at this graph from Britain, or about Britain, which has gone so green that it gets more than 40% of its electricity from renewable energy, such as wind and solar. And I'm not even including hydropower here. That's more than twice as much as Australia so far. But that has now led to a crisis in Britain. Joining me is Alan Moran, Head of Regulation Economics, which studies the economics of green energy. Alan Moran, thanks for your time. What has happened now in Britain?
Well, as a result of Britain's dependence on wind, there's been a shortage of gas, largely because of the COVID recovery and various things like that. But the gas prices have shot right up in the UK and Europe generally. In fact, UK prices have gone from, like, you can see it on there, about 40 pence per therm up to about 200 in quite a short period. This is having quite an adverse effect on electricity prices. Now, there's no shortage of gas in Britain or in Australia, for that matter, but Britain, like Australia, has put embargoes on exploration and production of gas. Largely people that see the spectre of fracking, that they think that this technology is dangerous. There's no question about it. It's not dangerous. It's been in operation for about 70 years. We've had various inquiries into fracking in New South Wales and in Victoria, but we still ban gas from that particular source. And that's resulting in some of the shortages, the local shortages, which we actually see here in Australia as well. The United States doesn't have fracking, and what the United States has seen is become an energy superpower in the course of about a decade and a half from being a net importer. So basically, this shortage of gas is resulting in a very big increase in prices in Europe generally. We can see the increase in prices, the forward price for electricity for the winter months, the northern winter months in the UK, and it's moved from £60, which is quite high by our standards, but it's moving up to £150 per megawatt hour, which is a colossal price. And basically, it's the fact that the prices are being boosted because, well, wind and solar are irregular. They're more expensive, in spite of what some of the propagandists tell us here. They're obviously more expensive because they can only be put into the system with subsidies. Once the subsidies are removed, nobody will build any more wind farms.
And we're seeing now in Britain fuel shortages. We're seeing the coal-fired power stations that Britain wanted to get rid of. They're now being paid extra to try and churn up some more electricity. And we're also seeing a lot of people coming into what could be a cold winter, not able to afford the electricity to keep them warm. I predict this will be a deadly problem because there's so many people that die of cold in Britain through what's called coal poverty. But it's also true, Alan, isn't it? There seems to be this shortage of gas is also hitting China. It's led to blackouts there, fuel rationing, particularly in its coldest northern provinces. I mean, how bad is this going to get?
Well, again, yeah, the Chinese are running out of gas. They're also running out of coal to some degree, which is a delicious irony from our perspective. But partly it's a policy from their part to try to reduce the amount of emissions in the run-up towards the Glasgow meeting. But partly it's because they have denied themselves some quite cheap coal from Australia for the time being, and they've run into a couple of bottleneck problems for Russian coal. So yes, there is this issue of a worldwide increase in prices, but it's not a worldwide increase in prices that is caused by any general scarcity. The scarcity is all government elected scarcity. And indeed, what we can see for Australia is if we do follow the UK route, and we're talking, we have various coalition wets who are urging us move towards net zero in 2050, which means 50% or more renewables like the UK, we will have the same sorts of spiraling prices and reduced reliability. And unfortunately, we seem to be moving in that direction in spite of the fact that the real facts are that prices will be lower if we can go to coal and gas.
Look, it's such a suicidal thing. The consequences are not factored in. You call it, terrible if you actually warn that this cult of global warming will come at a price. Alan Moran, thank you so much for your time. Now, I should add that some Nationals MPs are standing against this global warming cult, this suicidal idiocy. Today, Nationals frontbencher Bridget McKenzie, she blasted some Liberals in Greens-leaning seats for pushing their own government to give in to demands to cut our emissions to zero in net terms by 2050. And McKenzie said it was easy, say, for Treasurer Josh Frydenberg out in Kooyong, where his main challenge is from the Greens, or Liberal Dave Sharma, same thing, out in Malcolm Turnbull's old seat. Easy for them to embrace a net zero target because there would be next to zero real impact on the way of life of their affluent constituents. Those people can afford soaring fuel prices. She said it's the worst kind of vacuousness over values. And I'm sorry, Josh, I know you're a nice guy, we get on well, but she is absolutely correct.